Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So today we have the 1200, first start of the year. It's come out the shed. What we're going to do is a job I've wanted to do since we had the 1200 about, is it just over 4 years we've had it now. I want to put different tyres on it. I'm not going to say new tyres because they're not new, but I want to change the tyres because the fronts are pretty well had it and the backs are okay, but we've got better ones, so we're going to change them. So what have we got? So we've got two pairs, so they are not a matching set, but they're very close. They are all Goodyear super traction radials, so they're a matching set as far as that goes. But they've come off two different tractors, so they're not new, but they're pretty good. So we've got a pair with excellent tread and a pair with good, but you can see you've been on flinty ground. It's a bit chewed up, but there's still plenty of depth of tread there. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the slightly lower tread on the fronts and the better tread on the back. So that is our little job for today. So what we have to do, take off the existing ones. There is tubes in all of them, so these are not tubeless tyres. So we're going to maintain. We are going to keep the tubes in there. Take them off, swap them over, blow them back up again. The issue we might run into, I know the wheels have been painted before we bought the tractor, so the wheels were painted before it came here, but I suspect the insides weren't. That could be our issue. Is there any rust inside the rims? We don't know yet. But anyway, first thing we have to do before we start jacking up this tractor, because as everybody knows it is a pivot steer, there is no physical link between the front half and the back half. The only thing that keeps it straight is the hydraulic ram, and you know, a ram is just basically oil and bits of rubber inside. We do not want to be relying on that when we start jacking. So what we need to do, we need to put this bar in to lock the front half and the back half into a rigid thing. Right, you might have to jiggle about to get this in. I don't know yet. I'll roll with the camera. You might have to jiggle about to get this in, to get these holes to line up. No. Jiggle the tractor, not jiggle you. Well, it might go in. We'll see. You'll have to turn a little bit.
I'll enter it. You can do it quicker than we can. Drop it in there right back. Move the wrong way. Not falling down that door.
Right, so now we're locked. What we don't want to happen is if we jack one corner up, it could potentially twist in the middle. So that's going to stop that now. Also, there's another hole to stop it pivoting vertically. You can put a pin down through to hold it that way, but we don't want to do that today because we need to lift one corner off and let it pivot a little bit so the other three stay stuck to the floor. Right, now we're ready. We can jack up. Right, so we found out how not to do it. That was a bit of a struggle, but there's so little access on the inside to break the bead and to lever it off. We were a little bit rusty around the beads, and around the the valve was a little bit stuck in there, so we'll get a brush, just give that a wire brush off and put a new one on. Right, so finally, first tyre is finished. So when we came to put the tube back in, we found that the valve stem, or the fitting on the tube that the valve stem screws into, was damaged. It was kind of out of round a little bit, so I couldn't get it back in. So what we had to do, put a new valve stem patch onto the tube. So we cut the old damaged bit of brass fitting off, put a new, you can get like a stick-on valve patch, so put one of them in, and it all worked perfectly. It all went back together, but we had a flat back on the camera, so we couldn't film it. Anyway, first tyre is finished. So this was, I knew they were going to be tricky. I knew the front ones were going to be hard because there was so little access to the inner bead. But I'm glad we did this one first, because I've come up with a plan for doing the back ones. So we have turned the tractor around, and the whole of the back half is jacked off the ground. As you can see, both wheels will turn. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this one as normal, put the back tyre onto here, because there is loads of access to the inner bead, and it won't be easy, but it will be a lot easier than the front one. And then when we come to the left hand side, what we're going to do, we're going to take this tyre off, we're going to put the front tyre onto this rim, and then just transfer the whole wheel and tyre assembly onto the front, bring this one back, and just hopefully try and make our lives a little bit easier. So that's the plan. So what we'll do, we'll get this sorted out, and I'll try and bring you back when we do this final tyre onto the back. We'll try and set up the we'll set up a time lapse to try and show the whole thing, because you know, but hopefully by the time we get to the last one, we'll be getting the hang of it a little bit. It'll go a bit quicker, it'll go easier, and you know, not drag it out too long. So we'll be back for the final tyre. So we are now down to the final tyre, everything else is done. So what I said a minute ago, the original plan was to put the front tyre onto the back wheel, and then swap the wheel and tyre onto the front axle, and then bring this tyre back to change, just because the access is so much easier. You get virtually no internal access. You get no access to the internal bead on the front axle. So, but plans have changed. What I noticed that I didn't notice before, the back wheel, or both back wheels, have brackets on for dual wheels. Now obviously they're no good on the inside. The wheels would have to be the other way around, but there is no brackets. The front wheels don't have those brackets on, so just to keep things as they were, the one on the front now that is the back wheel and tyre that will be coming. We're going to swap them back in a minute, just to keep it as it was. Anyway, so the front tyre is going to go on this one, and then we'll just swap back to front and we will be finished. So like I said earlier on, what we're going to do now, just going to time lapse this final tyre and make it look like we know what we're doing, and really we don't. This is going to take quite a while, but if we speed up the filming, it won't bore you too much. So first thing we'll do, pull the valve out, let the air out, break the beads, take this side bead out, pull the tube out, and then take the tyre away, clean the rim, put the new tyre back on, tube in, blow it up, job finished. All in about a minute, hopefully. But in reality, it'll be about 2 hours work. But anyway, right, let's get going. Right, so we are finally off. So as you can see, inside the rim is pretty crusty. This side seems to be okay. We'll rub that off before we put the new tyre back on. But more importantly, on the tube we have, you can see it's quite rusty, and somewhere, there it is, a little damaged bit there. Whether we damaged that on the way out, we may have done, but yeah, you can see it's leaking a little bit. So we'll go and put a new valve in there. Right, so now we're clean, we've got all the rust off, we've got the cleaned it up with some solvent stuff. So this is our new valve, so we just stick the whole thing on, and then this pokes out through the rim. So we've got to stick some glue on, let the glue dry, and then put the patch on. But we've got to make sure we've got more glue than patch, because we need to make sure every bit is covered. And we'll just let that dry in the sun for a minute. Right, so that's about dry now. We'll peel the back off. Peel the back off the patch. Take the centre out. Just make sure we get it lined up right. And there we go, that is fixed, ready to be pressurized. Right, so we're starting to get somewhere now. Tyre is on, tube is in. Next thing we're going to do, we're just going to put a little bit of air inside the tube to inflate it just a little bit, just to make sure we don't pinch at the tube as we're going on. That will just, you know, take some of the creases out, make it sit right. So we've taken the valve core out, so we're just going to blow air in. It's not going to hold any pressure, and it will just come, any excess will just come out. Right, so that's squared the tube up. What we're going to do now, put some soap around the edges, put the tyre on. It's easy as that. Yeah, it's not easy really. It's quite a struggle, which is why we do it on time lapse, because it makes you think that we're doing it quickly when really it's not. It is hard work, but that's the next stage, so that's what we do. Right, so finally fully on. Both sides. Plenty of soap in there to help it slip. So what we need to do is pressurize it, and that will then push these beads out, and they will, that's what they call seating the beads. So we do that again without the valve core in to push the air in nice and quick, and then these will just pop out by the pressure. Yolet's going, it's pushing out. Inside one is going, that's all done down here. A little bit at the top to do. Inside one almost there. Just a little bit more at the top. There we go. Just a quick check all the way round. All the way round. Outside is all good. Inside, it's probably too dark in there to see, but he's gone all the way around. So now if we put the valve core back in, then we can inflate up the pressure. This is the bit where we try not to lose it. The valve, that is, not things in general. Right, just do it all tight. And just take him up to pressure. So there we go. Final tyre inflated and pressurised. So all that's left to do now, swap these two front to back. I will do that off camera. We're losing daylight. So yes, I'll get on with it. And I'll bring you back when we're finished. So here we are, all completed. We have swapped the front and back tyres over now. So this is the tyre we put on last. I've just swapped front to back. So we've got slightly more tread on the back tyres than we have on the front. So like we said at the start of the video, They're a matched set as regards to the type, you know, the make, but they are not quite matched in the depth of tread. So better ones on the back, slightly less on the front, because this is where all the weight is when it's pulling. So my theory is a little bit less tread up here won't hurt. Whether that works or not, we don't know. Makes sense in my little head. Anyway, so that is it. We have finally completed our 3-year wait for changing over the tyres. I was putting it off, there's no doubt about it. I wasn't looking forward to doing it. I haven't enjoyed doing it. But actually, as it works out, me and Dad did it together. It actually took us 2 Saturday afternoons, 2 Sunday mornings, and a little bit of a Saturday evening just to finish off that last tyre. So it wasn't that bad in the long run. It was spread over a while, and it wasn't easy. It was hard going, but time-wise, not too bad for a pair of amateurs. So there we go. Next up, we are going to hopefully, if things work out, do a little job with the 1200. So I'm hoping this spring, once we get going on cultivations, with a bit of luck, if things work out, the 1200 will play a small part, and there will be videos coming of what might be happening. So subscribe and come back and watch. So I'll say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching us struggle a little bit, and we'll see you next time.